So Utkarsh right now is doing MBA from ISB and is a qualified CA. He's a chartered accountant. Okay, and he has spent 2 years even in the investment banking at KPMG, and even he has worked in the VC. So I would just like in quick introduction of yours, but you can just tell me what exactly is the reason why as CA we are right now you're starting with an MBA with in the ISB. So what exactly is the motivation of?
Sure. So I think, first of all, hello everyone. It's great to be here and speaking to all of you. And so, yeah, I mean, like you said, I had done CA and I had worked in investment banking and the venture capital space. So within that, I worked for about 3, 4 years. So I realized that I had the technical skills that a CA, generally gains from the course. But the other sort of people skills, the network that's needed within the VC space, within investment banking, that's something that I was lacking. And that, I mean, for that, MBA is the ideal degree. And so that's why I wanted to pursue an MBA, and I wanted to stay in India. So that's where, for someone with my experience, I think ISB was the obvious choice.
So why do you want to stay in India? You will after ISB, I think you will be more of a world traveler.
Yeah, I mean that's there, but as a base, I wanted to be in India, just be close to
You
my
love
family.
India.
Yeah, that was what I
So
meant.
right now we have more than 300 people have joined, and obviously this number will be reaching around 1,000. I think. So what Utkarsh, this total audience we have, इसमें GMAT aspirant है, इसमें
Correct.
ISB aspirants हैं, इसमें even the CAT aspirant भी हो सकते हैं. But
Okay.
mostly I think it would be GMAT specific people, even the ISB people are aspiring for it. So they would like to hear from you, and even the preparation, even the interview experience, whatever the tips you have for
Sure.
these people. So I would be moving out in a sense my audio and the video would be off,
Sure.
and you can start it. After that, we will start with the chatting, that the Q&A, whatever the people would be asking. You can even look at the YouTube. Otherwise, I would be asking the question from there. Okay,
Sure. I'll do that. Great.
please start.
Right. So I'll start off firstly with my GMAT journey. So primarily, I firstly started out by just giving a mock. I think I wanted to gain where I stand. So I took a free mock from the official GMAT mock. And so that gave me a base of where I wanted to focus, what my weak areas was, what my strong point was. So I think going ahead from that mock, I realized that okay, I was doing reasonably well in verbal, but quant was an area where I was struggling. DI again was a little hit and miss. I mean, I was in some mocks I was doing well, in some mocks I wasn't. So that's why I then planned to focus on quant. So I think I talk about quant, verbal, and DI separately. So for quant, the first main thing was to understand the concepts, go through all the areas, all the concepts that are there, and just to get a sense of what type of questions are asked. So I think that's what is the key in quant. It's more about understanding the concepts first and then practicing after that. So quant was mostly about practice. It was about picking up a topic one day, doing multiple questions around that topic, and then making an error log. So I think this is something that I'll keep talking about, that an error log is probably one of the most important things and one of the key factors that helped me get a good score in GMAT. That I used to do a question, multiple questions and then understand where I went wrong. So I kept a complete Excel, something that, Excel just came naturally to me. So I kept an Excel of the question that I had done wrong, of what I had done wrong, what I was thinking, and where I went wrong. So exactly, I used to write, okay, this was the question, this was my thinking, I did A, B, C, but what was needed was D, E, F. So I think that's something that really helped me in, especially in quant, where say it was uh, any chapter really. So I used to do that. So I think for quant, it is important to understand the concepts and then do lots of practice. That could be from OG. So OG should be your starting point, where you should go through all the OG questions first. I think that's a big mistake that a lot of people do. They focus on tougher questions earlier. Right from the start, and they don't focus on OG. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway, that you should start from OG, do all the questions, and then move on to the high level questions, which could be from there are multiple forums available. There are multiple questions that you'll find online. So I think that's something that you should look forward to. For verbal, I was okay with CR. So I think CR was just something that I was able to do. I think there are that's different for everyone. So it's again about practice. But where I was struggling was RC. I think I just I mean whatever I did, there was a point where I was thinking it's just not working. I did hundreds of questions, but there was something that I was missing out on. So I think for RC, it's more than practice. It's about quality of practice than quantity of practice. So I think there was a time where I used to do hundreds of questions and then get the same mistakes. So I realized that it's about picking the right questions. Again, you should start from OG. OG should be your key document for verbal, where because the question pattern and the type of questions would be similar to OG. For verbal, you should avoid questions which are not official GMAT questions. So you should stick to only questions that have been prescribed by GMAT. The official questions. That's about it. Again, CR and RC, it should be only GMAT official questions and no other types of questions. DI is, I feel, more about it's more intuitive. It's more about instinct. You can't really learn. There are no concepts as such. Again, it's about practice. It's about doing the right questions. It's about doing the quality questions and not quantity. Again, for DI. Yeah, I think that's about the subjects. Then the key aspect I feel for my GMAT was the mocks. I think I started with mocks very early into my preparation. I think as soon as I had done all three of these sections once, I started giving mocks. Again, official mocks. I think you should stick to official mocks. There are multiple official mocks that are available. I think the free ones, you can give them twice even. So that really helps. And then eventually, once you've reached a certain level, it's really helpful to take the paid mocks as well. Those are going to be the key points that you should focus on. Because the official exam is going to be very close to the official mocks. So I think one thing that I realized was my score was almost identical to the mock scores that I was getting. So yeah, I think mocks, all of you must be in different stages of your preparation right now. But if you're targeting maybe round one, then you should be in the stage where you're giving mocks right now. Yeah, I think that's about it on the GMAT part. Post that, ISB, like I said, I wanted to stay in India, so ISB was the obvious choice for me, where I put all my focus into this school. And once you're done with GMAT, I think you realize that that was only a small part of the entire application process. That's when, after your GMAT, is when your real application process starts, where you have to sit with yourself. So ISB's essays will force you to think your life goals and your life choices so far, and also what you want to do in the future. So that's where you have to sit with yourself. You have to brainstorm and think about each and every line that you write in your essays. So that's where you have to, you know, really go deep. I think a key point for these essays is you can't be on the surface, you can't use ChatGPT and all, because that's really evident. You have to go deep, you have to be unique, you have to show why you're unique and how what value you're bringing to ISB. So I think essays, it was the most fun part of the entire application process for me. Post essays, post your application, there's obviously resume, which is you have to tailor your resume according to, I think that's at a later stage that we can discuss as we go ahead. And interviews, of course, that's also a key cog in the entire admissions process, where the interview prep. So I think for interviews, the main thing again is mock interviews, where you can speak to alums, you can speak to, you can work with experts who can help you with the interviews. And yeah, I think that's the interview process is also something that's really fun for SB. So yeah, I think that was a brief about my journey. We can probably open question. I think it's anyways better to go through
Yeah.
questions and then see
Yes.
what people ask.
So, Utkarsh, you talked about the ISB essays and everything. In that, how do you deal? Let's say there's an SOP, statement of purpose. And in
Right.
all business school, statement of purpose is a base over which all the profile and application is built. Now, let's say in your case, if you take your example, you must have, we would like to know how you planned your SOP and how the other people even should be planning for it. थोड़ा सा उसमें बच्चों को बताओ कि how exactly test होगा.
I think, like I said, for SOP, it's about your own personal journey. It's not black and white like that. You have to sit with yourself. You have to brainstorm कि आपने अभी तक क्या किया है लाइफ में, आपको आगे क्या करना है. So I think for that, it's about, firstly, like I said, it's about being unique. It's about portraying it. You can't really fake it in essays. So I've spoken to a lot of people here with me, and I think everyone's really unique. Everyone's journey is really unique. So you have to portray your original self. You can't fake it. वो बहुत evident हो जाता है if you're portraying something which you're not. So it's about being real. It's about showing what you've done and what's different in what you've done, and how you're unique from everyone else, and what value you will bring to the cohort. So I think that's the key for the SOPs in the general essays.
And how did you answer the why MBA question? How did you answer it?
So my reason was that, okay, I had gained the technical skills through CA. I had worked in the industry for a few years, so I had the technical skills that I needed. But the network. So I think my key point was around the network, because I was in VC, which is very network driven, and knowing people within the industry helps with jobs, helps with not just jobs, but also to get companies on board as a VC. So for that, I needed a network, and I think ISB is a school which probably has the best alum network in the country. I think being here, I've realized you can reach out to alums at any point through LinkedIn or through other forums, and they're really helpful, and they can help you with anything and everything.
And most of the GMAT aspirant, as we see, actually struggle with the verbal, and GMAT obviously is verbal intensive.
Correct.
And I think reading comprehension comes as the 80% part. Actually, reading comprehension carry करता है. So let's say if I'm talking about, let's say, the main idea questions,
Correct.
exactly the strategy a person should be using for tracking the main idea or the tone-based kind of a questions.
So I think my strategy was that I used to just skim through the question once. I think a lot of people make mistakes is that they try to go deep into the question in their first read itself. So I try to skim through, look at the main points of that passage, because you can't, if it's a long one, there are some shorter ones, there are some longer ones. So in the long ones especially, it's really easy to lose focus, and then you can't really pinpoint on what the main idea is. So my strategy was to just skim through it and try to understand from the brief skimming through part only, that what the main idea I think is. So I mean, that's the strategy that worked for me. But I think main idea it's about practice. I think there are only certain type of questions that are there. It's not like, I mean, GMAT's syllabus is really limited that ways. It's not like CAT where you can get multiple types of questions. So there's only a finite set of main idea questions only. So, and this similar to OG again. So you should focus, you should practice, and once you practice, it just comes second. It's just second nature, and then it
Reflex
just
kind of.
becomes intuitive. Yeah.
Acha, Utkarsh, I think you were working at the time when you went for GMAT,
Yes.
and obviously it's a long exercise, is long. It takes a year, so obviously you should be engaged in something in that. But there are many people who are at home, many people who are working. So work में कैसे, how do you handle it? Like let's say if you're working in the VC, the KPMG and all, इसका तो I think 8-9 बजे तक तो घर ही नहीं आ सकते हैं.
Correct.
How exactly you managed it?
So my strategy was to wake up early. So I used to study before I went to office, and so I used to wake up at about 7 a.m. I used to leave office for 9:30. So 2 hours before going to office, I used to study, and that was depending, sometimes verbal, sometimes quant, and I also used to study at night. I mean, that depends. Like you said, in investment banking, we see there were times where I didn't get time at all, but whenever I got time, I used to study at night also. But those 2 hours were non-negotiable. I used to spend those 2 hours uh, without fail almost every day, and then try to optimize the weekends. So I think weekends when you're not working, so you can do multiple. You can study for multiple hours and then do mocks, etc. Also.
As an average duration, I meant to say, if I'm aiming for some D-Day, let's say, what exactly that the average span I should be planning?
For GMAT, so I think I took about 3.5 months. So I think, and I've spoken to a lot of people, that's the average, but it depends. There are people who can do it in a month. There are people who can who take 6 months. So I think on an average, 3 to 4 months is something which I feel is ideal. If you can spend 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours every day, and then 5-6 hours over the weekend.
Even I would like to know about the profile of the batch. I meant to say, do you see any kind of a, I would say majority of some kind of people in the batch, or is it like a diverse mix kind of a thing?
Yeah. So I think ISB's biggest selling point, and ISB is known for its diversity. There are people from every field, really. There are obviously CAs, engineers, there are lawyers, there are doctors, architects, people with a psychology background. So I think ISB is known for its diversity, and once you're here, you get to interact with people from all fields of life. So I think that's a big part of ISB.
Does it in any way helps people who are good in maths or good in numbers?
The curriculum here, yes,
Yeah, the admission process, the GMAT, even after that the interview stage.
No. I think GMAT, yes, maybe the quant part that generally helps people who are good at math, but I think it's not that hard. Someone who's not really good at math can also pick it up. But then there are people who would be strong in verbal, who have a similar. So lawyers, for example, are really good at verbal because they used to, like RC. I said that I struggle with RC, but there are lawyers who used to plead in documents day in day out.
Everybody can
Legal documents, exactly. For them, verbal is easier. So everyone has their strengths and weaknesses, but yeah, I mean, to some extent, you can say that engineers enjoy quant more. But once you get in, and for interviews, everyone's at the same level. For interviews, there's no really quant involved, and once you get in, also there's parity across.
Most of I'm looking at the chat and many of the questions are, I think, is repeated. Same question, but in different forms. So we would like to close it now. So Utkarsh, koi parting gift to everyone? Tell your, wisdom to everyone, and even include the free material which we have actually put in the description, the free content, even the discussion forums, even live videos. We have actually put a lot of content in this video description. So for the wisdom though, and then we'll.
Yeah, I think it's great that you've put out all of this content. I think it's best to make use of the free content that's available through. I mean, I think it's in the description. Otherwise, also, so rather than paying a lot of money elsewhere, you should make the most of the free content that's available. And I would just say best of luck. And firstly, I think main takeaway is that you should not stress a lot about GMAT. I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but I did that. But I've realized that it's only a small part of the application process. And there are people who've come with low GMAT scores. There are people who've come with high GMAT scores. So that's just right now it might seem the most important part, but it's genuinely not. So you should focus on your entire application, on your profile, and not just GMAT. I mean that's it.
So last question I have. In your right now, the batch, what kind of a range we have in the GMAT score?
So I think the average this year is 675, and range I'm not exactly sure, but I think it's five. I think it's in the 500. So 575 or 565. I think that's the minimum range, but average is 675.
Actually, it was great talking to you, Utkarsh.
Thank you so much.
And I think all the people must have enjoyed it. And thanks for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.